Hey everyone, this is Sia
And Camilla.
and this is a kind of new format of trying to look into a couple of demos from fests that constantly happen on Steam and give them a kind of a short review.
We always like checking out new games and constantly play new demos, and we just decided why not make separate videos to share some of these demos with you.
So this week was Ludonarracon, which is like a festival celebrating narrative games. And I guess, I don't know about your demos, I guess all of the demos were mostly like narrative focused.
Yeah, for me too. I would say that all of them had elements of visual novel to them.
I didn't have, okay, so I'm gonna go into detail later, but like at least one of them that I had didn't have any elements of, although, alright, we'll see and we talk about it.
Good start!
Alright, so the first one I wanted to talk about, got a little bit mixed feelings about it, so want to just throw it by you. It's called After Love EP. You
beat me to it. I wanted to check out that demo and you beat me to it.
It's funny because it says you actually have it in your wish list. When I opened it on Steam, it said you already have it on your wish list.
I am very liberal with my wish list. I'm not gonna lie. I have 400 games. So
I was about to ask how many games you have on your wish list.
I think around 400. I'm trying to get better and first play demo and then add them to the wish list, but yeah, I have a problem.
So, After Love EP is basically, if we were talking about visual novels, like this is the most, I guess the closest to visual novel out of stuff that I've played. It is a game set in the Jakarta, which took me forever to figure out that it's set in Jakarta. I was like, I can see that it's not set in I was like, it's not Japan, it's not America, it's something else.
I love the My Chemical Romance reference in the background. I think there's a White Stripes reference as well.
I was looking into all of this stuff. I was trying to figure out all of the references I couldn't.
I'm trying to figure out the one next to My Chemical Romance, but I can't.
There are two My Chemical Romance. I'm pretty sure this is My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, this is My Chemical Romance.
And this is My Chemical Romance.
Oh, I didn't notice that one. Cute.
So anyways, it follows the musician named Rama, who is in this small beginner, I don't know, breakthrough band. It has elements of the rhythm game, which I was kind of excited. One thing I didn't fully understand is if you can fail in the rhythm game.
Have you tried?
A little bit. It does the music, but I haven't tried to see what it does narratively. But basically it starts out with us having a girlfriend named Sintra, who is very nice, very supportive of the band, wants to help everything, until she starts coughing.
You'd better do something about that cough.
And that's when you know you're up to no fucking good. I called it
man.
right away. I was like, oh. So yeah, basically she dies, right? In the first...
for real?
Yes! She literally dies in the first...
Was there a pillow involved?
No, surprisingly.
Shit.
It also took me a while to realize that she was his girlfriend. It kind of, the way she was behaving and everything, I thought she was actually... she was his childhood friend or his sister, and later
I was about to say could have been both, but yeah.
Then
you added the sister part.
I mean, she still could have, but
Sister wife.
And after she passes, so we kind of skip a year in the future where she lives rent-free in her head, meaning she's a voice in her head.
Cool.
As we try to go back to her life. I still try to understand, at least from the demo that I played, I don't know if she's supposed to be, by design, a antagonistic power in his life, because she's a little bit of an asshole. He says, oh, I need to go, his friends tell him, Rama, you need to go to therapy, and her voice shows up, she's like, but do you really? You're gonna get rid of me if you do that. You probably shouldn't go to therapy.
I mean, isn't everybody's voice in their heads a little bit mean?
But I don't know if she's mean or she's just kill yourself.
A little whoa.
And do you want to? Move on, that is.
But one of the greatest things that I liked about it a lot is, first of all, the music is really, really good at that. Especially for a rhythm game, it's very nice. They also have songs.
It's imperative, I would say.
Yeah, it's also like besides just the song, the music, they have songs. And what I found interesting that it's actually in Indonesian language and it has translation.
Cool.
My problem with the lyric and all of that is that when you do, maybe it's me because I'm not good at rhythm games, but I couldn't pay attention to rhythm game and the lyric at the same time. I really wanted to pay attention to the lyrics, but I couldn't do it, literally for the reason that I was just like trying to focus too much on the rhythm.
So, just looking at the footage that you have playing right now, I have to say that I'm sorry. I wish I could make you feel better, but it's you because these sections are pretty simple.
For me, it was just the fact that
you can kind of manage to read most of the lyrics.
It's the fact that it's coming from both sides and it's not very clear. Like it's small, so I cannot
should
see
have a little challenge in the gameplay because otherwise it's not.
No,
fun.
I know. I'm just saying I cannot see the peripheral vision. That's just me. I get really focused on like one thing, and I cannot like if I see the whole picture. And I'm kind of like, just focusing on the whole thing. I cannot see the arrows. I wish it was maybe more contrast in color for that. I guess it's not gonna fit the aesthetic altogether.
Right.
What I really like is the map. You actually go around on the map. It's not like straight on visual novel.
There's a lot of point and click in it.
There is a lot of point and click. So far, because it's a demo, there's not much to like point and click, but stuff that I've seen so far, I actually really enjoy it. And like the aesthetic of it, like first of all, the art is really good. The aesthetic of it is really good.
And it's so unique because it's such a representation of culture that you don't usually see.
Exactly, because
in media and games, so that's really cool.
It never says straight away that it's like that it is Jakarta, right? It is Indonesia. Like I don't get it right away, but it's you look at it and you're like, yeah, like this is not something that I'm used to. I really, really like the side characters. I think they did a really, really good job with them. We have this like best friend of ours, Adit, I think his name, and a girl who's in our band I'm sorry, I can't remember her name.
She's cute though.
I figured that probably we're gonna have some kind of a romance with the girl with the red stripe in her hair.
How can you have a romance when you have your dead girlfriend in your head?
Okay, it says, it's not me, it's narrative adventure, date and sim, and rhythm game.
That's fucked.
It is.
I'm interested.
Same. I was like, let's go. I really like the voices. Like whoever was voicing did a really good job. Not everything is voiced, but in a lot of dialogue, most of the stuff is just kind of like, the classic kind of voicing.
Right.
Sintri's voice. His voice and his hat is voice, which I really enjoyed.
Is that my Rain Chudori novel? I thought I lost it, Rama. That is, if Mom really donated them like I asked.
I like that there's kind of a conflict, and I want to see where stuff going further with that. Altogether, I liked the characters. I liked everything. I will be honest, this is not for me.
What gave it away? The rhythm game part?
No, I actually love rhythm games. It's not the rhythm game part. It's the story is a little sappy. It's very...
It does smell a little bit of Fruit Basket, which is... it's a bold statement for me considering I've never seen a single episode of Fruit Basket, but this is what it feels to me.
I also think I need to add to this that the game was created by the guy who wrote Coffee Talk. And who passed away 2 years ago from some respiratory disease.
Oh god.
So I do think a lot of that was kind of
now you have to like the game. I don't make the rules.
Well, that's why I kind of feel guilty for not really liking it. Like, here's the thing. If you guys like romance anime, tragic romance anime, like Your Name, whatever, you will fucking love it. If you like Scott Pilgrim, it's very similar to Scott Pilgrim.
Well, I mean, I suppose the fact that it reminds me of Fruit Basket does come in as well.
I can see that. I don't know anything about Fruit Basket, but
I know very little, but also like the color palette. I don't know. Feel free to write in the comments how wrong I am. I welcome it, if anything. Right.
So it's not wishlist for me. But I wanted to say I don't know what's yours, but you already wishlisted it, so I guess.
No, I mean I don't even remember. Stop shaming me for wishlisting. I don't remember when that happened. Maybe I wasn't even conscious when that happened. Maybe I'm sleep wishlisting things.
You know, knowing that you have 400 games, I wouldn't be surprised.
I thought we're here to review demos of games and not roast my wishlist preferences.
But yeah, it is coming out end of this year, not just on PC. It actually comes out also on PlayStation, and Xbox, and on Nintendo nunchuck little thingy. What's his name?
Switch.
Switch, thank you. Alrighty, from one love story to another one.
Sort of. So my first pick, it was Nova Hearts. Looking at it, especially at the visuals, I was hooked. I was very interested, but my final thoughts, I am a bit perplexed. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Let's go to final thoughts later.
Yeah, let's start. So this is a combination visual novel and also turn-based fighting game. It is about this girl, Luce. She just moves back to her hometown that she left a long time ago. Her parents are divorced, her mom lives in that town, her father really doesn't like that town, didn't even want to drive her there.
What's wrong with it?
We don't know.
Oh.
We don't fully know. We also don't know. So she, I guess, dropped out of college.
Oh.
Or something. We don't fully know yet. At least from the demo, for what was in there. But yeah, she returns, starts reconnecting with some of the people from her childhood, from her school. But almost immediately, on the first night, things start to go down. Weird fuzzy monsters show up, and also her and her two friends transform into these superhero-like... I guess they just transform into kind of superheroes.
So it's Magical Girl.
Sort of, yeah. The gameplay is basically, when it's not full-on visual novel of characters talking, you get your hub on the phone. You're texting with people, keeping up with them. You can also, there's this astrology app, which is their way to check how the relationships are changing between people. You can romance both male and female characters as you wish. I immediately got a crush on her childhood friend.
Which one is it out of the...
Let's see. I think it's Will. Yes, it's Will.
I was like, is it the emo girl?
She's not an emo girl at all.
She's not an emo girl, but she has like this purple hair with white streaks that she's
just
thick
cute.
Alternative girl. Like right away I was like, oh yeah, that's the...
She's cute. And there's CJ, who is non-binary. So actually, I don't know if you can romance them. I don't think so. I think they're only into men.
So they are designated funny gay friend.
I wouldn't say funny, I would say actually designated
sassy.
Smart.
Okay, gotcha.
Not entirely sassy, but they're not that stereotypical.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, so you can communicate with your friends and stuff through these texts. You can look at the local news, see what's happening in town. So I would say that considering the gameplay is very limited, they really try to innovate on how you're going to get a full story and really interact with the city. And I commend them on that. Now, when it comes to fighting is when I start having problems with this game. From visual standpoint, this game is A++++.
What about from storytelling?
From storytelling, I think it's pretty good. I enjoyed all of the characters that I've interacted with so far. I have finished the entire demo. And I liked talking to everybody. They felt like distinct, separate people. I kind of like the story. The thing is that we haven't gotten far enough.
Yeah, of course.
For me to judge much. But yes, I do like the story. I am interested.
I think my main question mostly was to dialogues, in a sense. I'm just gonna say it. Was it cringe or was it not cringe?
It was not cringe.
Okay, that's good.
It was not. I did not find anything cringe in those dialogues.
A lot of the visual novels, especially when it has like dating aspects, it does tend to go into a little bit of a cringe territory. Therefore, I just had to ask.
I mean, there are a couple or so dialogue options that could be considered cringe, but I feel like that's a taste thing.
Yeah.
And it depends.
So talk to me about the combat system.
So combat system is it's a very, very simple turn-based combat. My issue with it is that I don't see much variety in it, and eventually it becomes kind of, I wish that there were more cooldowns. Like, for example, Will has this power. She doesn't unlock it immediately. It takes a couple of scenes for her to unlock it, but Will has this power to give 70 damage to a single enemy, and my question is, why isn't there a cooldown on that specific attack? The variety in it is that, as you can see, there's a timeline.
Yeah.
So the mechanic that they have is that once you unlock duo combat moves, you need to plan out on the timeline how to make that happen. Because they have to synchronize within the timeline to be able to perform
and by
combo.
Timeline, you mean like at each one of those pieces is the
yes,
is a turn kind of. So you want them both to be on the same like tick. Let's call it like that.
Yes. So that is also not super hard to achieve. Which to me, the combat becomes stale very quickly. It becomes pretty repetitive, and you do need to do a fair amount of combat. I keep waiting for you to bring up the fuzzy cats. I keep waiting for you to do that.
I kind of accepted them. I saw them right away. It made me question, because it
made me question when they appeared first in the game.
It's a combination of the Star Trek furry balls. I don't remember the human
tribbles.
Balls.
Tribbles.
Yes. The human testicles with the cat faces. It reminds me of Final Fantasy in a lot of ways.
I think it's a bit of a compliment. And here's the thing, I do want to note that there are abilities that have cooldowns that can only be used once. Each and all of the characters have different moves. But once again, I have an issue with this one attack that Will has. The others I'm okay with, but this one Will attack, I really don't see why I wouldn't just spam it.
One of the things I'm interested about is that do they have like any specific... the reason why I brought up Final Fantasy is because Final Fantasy has, besides you just spamming attacks or anything, different enemies have different strength, weaknesses, a way to get to them. So I wonder if maybe in future, maybe in this game, they have a little bit of that. A little bit of like some creatures you need to first attack them with magic, or...
They don't have that, but they have status effects. So certain attacks, both from your party and from the enemies, can make certain status effects, like for example, put confusion.
Yeah.
Which I had happen to me in one of the fights. I think in that way it reminds me of Persona. I feel like this is like Persona on the minimal budget.
Yeah, I was about to say.
In a way. I hope that makes sense. But there's also one character that I really want to show you.
What the fuck am I?
I was waiting.
Is that a romanceable option?
Yes. But here's the thing. He's not a wolf to begin with.
Well, yeah.
It's a person.
Well, yeah, it's a werewolf of some kind of...
No, it's not. It's so...
Why is he thrusting his hips while he's talking to you?
It's basically... In this storyline, he has this huge crush on the main character, on Luz. What I feel like, I haven't tested that, but what I feel like is that maybe if you romance him, he doesn't turn into a wolf, or maybe he still does, but it's a little bit of a different angle. It feels to me like there was a conversation point that I got a text from him saying that he's in trouble, but because I have a crush on Will, I decided to see Will instead. So maybe if I chose to see him,
I see.
this wouldn't have happened. I don't know. It already took me a while to get through the entire demo as it was, so I wasn't particularly a fan of the idea of playing it again, especially considering I would have to sit through these boring fights, again. I haven't died a single time. I have such mixed feelings about it because I'm interested in characters. I want to see where this is going. I also liked the music. The music reminded me a little bit of a Boyfriend Dungeon, but if a Boyfriend Dungeon is a little bit on the lo-fi side, this one feels a little more action.
Makes sense.
I really like the animation. I really like even the little things of... I noticed when they are talking to each other in the visual novel style, you can see them breathing. Like their chests are expanding and...
well, I wanted to...
And I totally did not notice that because I was staring at Will's tits. That is not what happened at all. But the combat really sucks the joy out of me in this game. So I still don't know if I'm gonna wishlist it or not. I just don't know. I hope that there will be more variety to the battle system, but we'll see.
Yeah. So what's like the verdict?
I guess I'm gonna wishlist it.
You wanna wait when it's like...
I wanna give it a chance.
Makes sense.
It's everything outside of combat is too good.
Alright, the next game that I have...
Another game you beat me to.
Fine enough, I think it also says that you have the main game in the wish list. And I was like, oh, I thought you already played it.
Just stop. What is this? I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, and it shows. So, Mexico 1921, Deep Slumber is set in Mexico in 1921. Groundbreaking story. I know it's... You probably did not expect that turn of events, but
sensational.
100%. Once again, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say it right away, so we're not gonna go into the details about it later. I have no freaking fucking... I have no fucking clue what happened in Mexico at the time, so this was extremely educational for me. It was...
No sé.
The story starts with us playing as a detective right after assassination of, I'm not sure if it's president or presidential candidate that would happen. And we have like media at our doorstep, we have journalists, we have some clues that we need to figure out. We have a vinyl player, of course.
Ah, muy interesante.
Can you stop? It's so racist.
I'm just trying to show off my knowledge of Spanish.
And
so the duo owl is not that mad at me.
But for me, like, honestly, like the beginning of it felt a little weird. We started as a detective. We're trying to figure out stuff happening. We also find out that there's a journalist waiting for us who wrote a book, 7 Years of Crazy Ones or something. It was just the crazy ones. And when we go to see him, we are transported to another side of the game where we play as him 7 years ago. Yes. Where we have different... we are a journalist for a small, I think, newspaper, investigative journalist. We are transported to this holiday where our task mission given to us by a newspaper, we need to talk to people who are doing like a protest or something. Once again, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what's happening. I love the vibes. Immaculate.
It's so nice to know that you paid so much attention to the plot.
I'll talk about it later. What's the problem for me personally was. We have two different gaming mechanic. One of them is photography, which I enjoy it so much.
Oh, that
you
looks
actually
good.
check, like you put aperture, you need to do focus.
That looks cool.
It's also one of those cameras that has like viewfinder on top.
Right.
I really enjoyed that part. And my favorite part about it as well, when you take a picture, it is a collectible. So you can open a journal and read a lot of the stuff that you take a picture of are cultural significance. So you actually can open a journal and read about it and find out more like historic things about like why exactly it's important. So I like that it added a lot of context of what's happening. So it can be something like
and
this.
Still you cannot say what the plot is.
We know that there's some kind of a treason happening. We try to figure out what it is. Let me explain to you
They try so hard, Sia.
Let me explain to you my problem what happened. Second game mechanic that you have is listening in to people. So you turn on, it's like a detective mode, Witcher senses, whatever you want to call it.
I mean, they call it nosy.
Sure, you become nosy, you listen in to stuff. What happened in the end is that I needed to listen in to a couple talking. I couldn't find how to do that. I spent 15 minutes dancing around them, walking around them. I got a mission that said like, oh, you need to listen into what they're talking about. Just like figure out, but like don't let them see you. I went into everything to check out what I need to do. I tried to do a lot of that stuff. I tried to figure out how to do it. I couldn't figure out how to do it, so I never finished fully demo.
Please let us know in the comments.
Am I the dum-dum?
How dum-dum Sia is and how easy it actually was.
Because I did wait for the full like countdown to go, and it just tells me that it's like you couldn't come up to them and talk, and they just say, "Get the fuck out of here, we're talking."
Well, of course they would.
Well, I was like, what else am I supposed to do? I tried to walk away and listen to them from very far, from very close. I did everything. So I couldn't figure out what is actually happening there. That is aside. I am really interested in doing that. I have a few gripes with this game. First of all, voice acting. The English voice acting is not really good. For the detective, his English voice sounded really meh.
Gregorio González Antiesteban, what can I help you with?
It was a celebration, but none of his allies were there. That couldn't have been a coincidence.
Spanish voice sounded much better. I actually switched.
What do you mean? What exactly about
it? It's not emotional. It doesn't give off the vibe, the story, anything. So one of the reasons why I got a little lost, that's another gripe I have. The game starts with you playing as a detective, and you have a bunch of photographs in front of you. You have a bunch of boards with like, the investigation, and the game just throws all of the exposition at you right away. Something that I guess my brain could not comprehend fully.
Right.
Normally.
I mean, most people's brains, really. You gotta give. It is always better to give these things gradually to people.
Like, I did get idea that there is a cartoonist who shot, but I was like, since I have no known history before this, since I have no reference, what exactly is happening, who it is, why is it happening, anything like that. So since I didn't have any points of reference, it was very complicated because of that. I just couldn't. By the time I got to the third picture, my brain was already like I couldn't comprehend all of that. Once again, I don't know how it's actually going to be in the final game. I think that's an important thing to remember. I also wonder if are we going to be switching between the detective and the journalist, or is detective just like a very simple framing device for the whole thing? And looking at the game, it seems to be I think it's supported by the government or like historical society. I'm not sure, but I think cultural Minister of Culture of Mexico, whatever.
Get the point.
It is very much like you can see that it's done with a lot of love for culture, done with a lot of love for that historical period, and especially as a person who doesn't know anything about that historical period, I am extremely intrigued. I want to see the final product. And also, one of the important things is visual style. I wasn't sure about it, because it does look a little bit clanky, maybe?
I really don't like it.
You really don't like it?
I really don't like it. Especially as I was watching your footage, you actually moving and walking, it just felt like a PS2 game or something. And it's just that it's a unique style, and something like that is purely just a matter of taste, and it's just not something. It's just not my taste. It doesn't vibe with me personally.
I'm just gonna say really, really quickly that I really like the design choices and design style of textures and colors and all that. Animation and a lot of 3D modeling gave me very much a student project vibe.
Yes, yeah. You know what? You just pinpointed it for me. Yeah, because the style of the that they've chosen, I like, but it's the modeling and animation that really pulls me out of it and really what gives that PS2 vibe.
In that sense, I wish it was side-scroller. I wish they didn't go full 3D with the game.
Yeah, the 3D just...
It's just too janky for something like this. It doesn't... Because, okay, now...
Or maybe if they made it a little... kept it a little more cartoony...
Here's the thing, from what I got, the visual style is inspired by Mexican cartoons or the comic strips, which I can see, especially in static. You can see clearly in static.
Right.
But when it's like movement and when you move through the world and when it becomes more interactable, I don't think it fully works. It needed more, either higher stylization of it. So maybe I would have gone into, or especially if they trying to lean into the cartoons and like comic strips, I would make it like less FPS.
It actually gives me not even PS2. It gives me early 3D cartoon vibes, but not in a good way.
It's like in the middle. It's either make it completely more stylized and more,
which
like,
I wish that's what it was.
Yes, or they made it a little bit more realistic. And because it's not here or there, in my opinion, it doesn't give a great impression of that. So for me, it is Wishlist.
So, yeah, I was just about to say. So is it Wishlist?
The verdict for me is Wishlist because I'm very much interested in the story. I think it's a really great way to tell your country's historic events, to make people more interested and make people understand more about what exactly has been happening in your country. Therefore, for such an experiment, with such an interesting premise and such an interesting idea, I give it a wish list. Oh, so I guess for this one we're going from the past to the future.
We are. So this is Times and Galaxy, and it is a point-and-click adventure, I guess I would say. You play for a bot, as you can see, we're building one right now. You are a new intern in Times and Galaxy newspaper. You are specifically programmed to write the best of the best articles. So you're immediately sent on the assignment, and you need to investigate this crash of a shuttle. What you can do is you can go around talking to the witnesses, talking to the police. There are several dialogue options which can reveal things to you, and in the upper right corner is the little tidbits of information that are being recorded. Because so considering that your main objective, this is not an investigative game, your main objective at the end of the day is to write an article. So as you are going around and you are collecting all of the little bits of pieces of information that you can use, in the end you are going to be making an article cycling through everything found out, which really gives a big variety of things. I've talked to everybody there. I have tried to look at every single piece of object that was laying around. There's also an investigative mode where you can look into the crash itself and note things about it. So in the end, there were several different spins I could have put on the story.
That's a question I wanted to ask, if you can be an evil journalist.
I don't know about evil specifically, but there is definitely a different spice that you can throw in. So from what I've gathered so far, there are little symbols to note who you're specifically appealing to. So there's ones that, see, there's informational, there's sensational, and alien interest. Maybe there will be more.
Yeah.
These are so far that I see. So this particular story, I could have spinned it about robots being abused, which is kind of actually what I did. The mistreatment of bots.
Course.
You can spin it as a police brutality, for the lack of better term, case.
Well, the main question is for me is like, can you just make it fully sensational? Do you have to balance those keys, like those key elements out? Or can you just be like, okay, I'm just gonna be a crazy TMZ reporter and I'm gonna make everything into sensational shit?
I don't believe you have to.
No, I know that you don't have to. I'm just asking if you can. Because I'd love to.
I think you can. I think you can. It is at the end, when you've made the story, it does give you a quota. I'm not completely sure where it's going to go in the future. I was also surprised when I was looking at the quota, because I have talked to so many people and looked at so many things, only to see that I've uncovered only half of options that I could have used in building that story. Now, I will say that I did not finish the demo. There was this second article, the second story. Also, actually, while I'm on that subject, before you start your assignment, it says who the assignment was written by. It actually shows a little intro which says story by. And from what I've seen, the two stories that are in the demo, those were written by two different people, which I think is really cute. It's kind of like an episode thing. Wait,
I thought you write in the story.
No, I mean the credits for the game.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yes, there is a little...
You know what, then I'm interested? I wonder if something like that, like users can apply their own stories.
That they can submit it to the game designers?
Either submit or make like mods for it.
Who knows? Honestly, I don't know. But I think this was a very unique approach to highlight the people who are working on the game. And I like to see that they're written by different people. Also, this first assignment was kind of within the story an emergency situation, so they sent an intern on such a important assignment. Your second assignment, you're getting like a full-on intern assignment. You're going to a cat pageant.
I love it.
I love it too. And the thing is that I am very interested. I was just running out of time, but I'm very interested in what kind of information can you gather there. I suppose at the very least, you can probably write a boring story of, oh yeah, here's this cat pageant, it happened, cool. And maybe you uncover some inner rivalries or something like that. So it's very interesting. I say that this is not an investigative game. It kind of is, but that's not your primary objective. So it's I like it. I like the spin.
Here's the thing. For me, I wonder what is the bigger picture of the whole story. I get the whole thing about like smaller investigations and it's fun, but I just wonder if it actually gets to some kind of a bigger
I think it
picture.
might. I think just judging by the fact that you have you go around the ship that is considered the headquarters of the newspaper, and you talk to all of the other reporters. And there was even a little mission to help out the photographer find his lens that he lost.
Okay, I see.
So, yeah, it is very point and click in that sense. But I believe that there might be a bigger overarching story because you do between the assignments interact with people. And I haven't even checked all the locations. Once again, I was running out of time.
Makes sense.
But most of the ship was open in the demo. I just didn't have time to check it out. But I did try to speak to all of the other reporters, gather. You can also romance. I did hit on an alien who writes about sports. because I could.
Yeah, of course.
Just because I could.
Of course.
Look, I take my job very seriously. I'm trying to probe this game from every different angle, and if there's a romance option available, well, gosh darn it, I will check it out for you.
I think another criticism that I have so far, I'm not biggest fan of art style, mostly because for me backgrounds and the
it is a taste thing. It is.
I guess so, because like for me personally, the models for characters and backgrounds feel like they've done by completely different artists who have a different style. I think for me personally, it was especially noticeable during the investigation, during the crash.
I don't see it as a difference in art style, to be honest. I think they look pretty organic together.
Good for you.
Thank you.
So what's the verdict?
I'm gonna wishlist it. I'm interested. I think it's a really cute game. I like this spin. Like, once again, I was shocked to see that after all of this time I spent investigating this crash site that I've only unlocked half of the possibilities. Now, I will say that there are a lot of options that are repeating just because a lot of people, you can find out that there was no cockpit in the shuttle by talking to at least 2 characters. And you can also find that out by examining the ship yourself. So we'll get 3 variations of the same information, that there was no cockpit, but still there is a lot in there. And I really want to see what happens at the cat pageant.
Indeed.
Yeah. So it's a wish list for me.
I guess we're going to another investigative journalism, mostly just investigative game. Okay, my next game of choice is the horror of the Highrook, which I did get stuck in for a very long time. Really didn't want the game to finish. I was very upset that it was just a demo, not finished game, and the finished game is not available anytime soon. But it is a board game style gameplay. The main story revolves around, first we start with 3 investigators, it becomes 4. I don't know why the 4th one joins in a little later. That's how the story-wise
investigators. So you have 4 separate characters investigating.
Yes. We come into the Highrook mansion where we know that the noble family lived. Something happened. They did some kind of rituals happen in there. Everybody's gone. We have ghosts, and we try to figure out what is happening.
Spooky.
It's very spooky.
Very Clue.
Yes, it has a very much of a Clue, but you know what it mostly reminds me of? Mostly it reminds me of Cultist Simulator. It is very Cultist Simulator. So what you do is you have multiple rooms. Each room has a little bit, a little icon of its own, where you can go and put a task card and a character card. I'm gonna say right away, the game has absolutely horrible tutorial for a board game. Also,
usually those games have pretty terrible tutorials.
Meaning the game
I am yet to be shown one that has a very good tutorial.
This game doesn't really have a tutorial. This game has a little bit of a guide, which I was going to say it in the end, but I was like, I'm just gonna say it right away. It has a guide that explains you everything, which feels like it's basically, it does, I don't know if that's what the authors of the game were going for, but it definitely gives you a very immersive experience of getting a board game. Where you buy a board game, you open it, and you're like, oh, it's going to be easy to play. And it's just walls and walls of text of how to play it.
And you cannot even put me in that position to just have me read all of this wall of text and then just tell you what to do. I am sorry that you had to go through this.
Thank you so much for understanding. But the main issue is that I wish like first action that we needed to do was just kind of step by step explained, because the main idea is that you have each room has this gear space where you put a task card and then you put a character in there. The problem is I spent probably 10 minutes figuring out which ones are task cards.
It's a good thing you played this because I would have given up. I'm not gonna lie.
I did take some time, but I eventually figured out, and yeah.
Like, as fun as it looks, I would have probably given up just because I just do not have that much patience for something that doesn't actually explain to me how to play.
Each task has its own icon, so it can be something like devices, or, let me see, secrets, or cooking, I don't remember full name, substances or something like that. So you need to match it with a specific room where you're going to put it, and each task card requires you to have a certain amount of skill. Your cards, I assume in the future when the game is going to come out, we're going to be able to level up our characters, and that's when the skill is going to go up. In this demo, every character was level 1, so all of their skills were on level 1.
Tragic.
Not every character is able to do everything. Besides that, each character has their own needs. So they have vitals, they have injury, fatigue, madness, and hunger. So from time to time, you actually need to send them to the guest room to sleep. You need to feed them.
A bit of a Darkest Dungeon.
It is very much Darkest Dungeon meets Cultist Simulator. It is definitely the combination of those two. And
I mean, even the art style reminds me of the Darkest Dungeon.
100%. And honestly, I spent way too much time in this. I figured out at some point, I was like, oh, this is the thing that's gonna finish the demo, and I spent a little bit longer in that thing. There is a very interesting, so talking about Vitas, I never had, at least in the demo, I never had problem with the injury. Nothing injured me. At some point, there's a little ghost of a boy shows up, and if you are in the same room with the boy, your madness goes up. So I imagine that in the future, you will have to time your specific locations of being like, we need to get, I don't know, we need to go cook something, but there's a ghost there, and everybody's extremely mad, so I cannot put people there, so we have to wait and starve.
So there is like resource management.
So there's a lot of resource management. So for example, when you go forage, you can get a bunch of different stuff. You can get meat, which you can, after that, you can cook it into a meal so you can eat it. You can get, I think moon grain makes a moonshine that you drink to lower your madness status. You can get some mushrooms to make a tea out of them, I think, which gives you like a specific support cards. Here's another thing. Each task card, so most of the task cards that I got in the demo require skill 1. Sometimes it requires skill 2, but all of your characters skill 1. So you need to come up and you need to get support cards. Support cards can give you +1 or +2 to specific skills or specific attributes. I'll say it right away. As a person who played way too many hours in Cultist Simulator, they need to make a more distinctive design changes, design differences between task cards and support cards. When you look at the board right now, which ones are task cards and which ones are support cards?
I have no fucking clue, dude.
Here's the thing. Task cards have a gear around them. Support cards do not have it. But it's not that standing out kind of gear to actually get your attention right away.
I mean, I have noticed it. It's just depending on the color of the card, they're more visible. Like, it's the most visible in the green spyglass card because it's green. But on the blue cards, it's much less visible.
It's first less visibility.
Also, by that logic, feels like characters are that as support cards as well, because they also have that lack of corners
basically
on the border.
I also wanted to say, like, as a person who played Cultist Simulator, in there they did a really good job of specifically making sure that everything is separate. Also, this is a demo, which I can only assume that you get triple amount of cards eventually as you go down the road. I don't have even half of the rooms open. I barely have anything right now open and unlocked for myself. So what scares me is that in the future, when you get like 20 or 30 cards, trying to figure out which one of them are task cards, which one of them support cards, and then I don't know if we're going to get more character cards. I'm just afraid that at some point it's just going to become a big old mess altogether.
I don't know. It sounds like you just got to get good.
Another second option is that also I wish the icon for each room was a little bigger, so it will give a little bit more.
This gives me. I have 20/20 vision, but this is giving me like, please put some accessibility features.
I mean, of course, you can zoom in. You don't have to look the way that I'm looking at it.
Right, but at the same time, you want to see the full board.
And
you don't want to be constantly zooming in and out.
Definitely. What I also like, there is a really good time progression. You can see how the days pass. With that, story passes. Once again, there's not much story right now to figure out what's happening. It's a demo. They don't want to give away much. We only know that there are some... It's very Lovecraftian, Edgar Allan Poe-esque by the style of it, by the style of story, by the style of atmosphere and kind of the vibe of the whole thing. I really enjoyed how in the demo, and I assume it's going to be in the main game as well the same way, it's very, very slowly opens rooms to you. So as you have one character in the archives, he's reading the book and he gets like codes for specific rooms. You progress step by step, you progress very slowly through everything, which I really enjoyed and I really appreciated that. In the end, that's definitely, for me, it's not just a wish list. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like buy it day one. It's just very much what I like. I like this kind of resource management. I like this time management. I like character management. I like the story, and I'm like interested to go deeper into the story of what is happening there. But I do get that it's not for everyone, and I do wish they made it
more accessible.
They made it more accessible and they tweaked it a little bit more. And definitely, I really hope they're gonna get a real tutorial where they actually show you this is where the card
That would
goes.
definitely make it more accessible.
Because it's definitely right now for me the problem with the whole thing, and it's even after I figured out a lot of things, it did take me a while, because once again, sometimes you get the cards and sometimes you forgot. So sometimes you get a specific task cards that you need to, like, something needs to happen with, you need to interact with it to continue the story. But because you already have 20 cards on the board, and then it's like one of the cards that just showed up, you forget about its existence, so you get stuck not knowing exactly what's happening. So I wish there was a little bit extra of this, like, pick up of that sort of information. But yeah, for me, it's the highlight of the whole demos that I've played today. It's something that I'm gonna spend hours playing. I'm gonna what is it? I'm gonna
smash the wish list.
I'm gonna thread you with a good time. That's how I see it.
Well, from one highlight to another, because my third game was also the highlight of this all for me.
Oh, so we both kept the best for last.
We kept the best for last. But yeah, this is the Posthumous Investigator. Apologize if I mispronounce it. So this, first of all, once again, visual style. This is the pinnacle noir. It reminds me so much of my favorite animated short film. I think it was called Paper Plane. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah, the Paper Man, I think, or something like that. Is it Pixar?
I don't remember, but it was about this guy in the office who kept making paper planes.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, he was getting paper planes.
From the girl in the office. Yes.
So it very much reminded me of that. So you are this detective. I realize right now that I don't know his name.
Everywhere it just says detective.
Yeah, it just says detective. I don't.
He's like Fleabag.
I don't.
He's just
I
detective.
don't know if we ever learned his name. Now that I think about it, but also on top of the usual, this is a detective story. You investigate, you question. There is a unique spin to this, and that spin is this is a Groundhog's Day situation.
Oh, so it's a time loop.
It is a time loop.
It's not a loop. It's a spiral.
I'm not completely. Don't make that face. I liked it. I actually enjoyed it. I actually really enjoyed it. This is a little bit of 90 minutes, but it is a day. So
A little bit of what?
90 minutes, or what was it called? 13 minutes?
12 minutes?
12 minutes.
You
Subtract, divide, you'll get the number.
You are too hopeful. You gave that man too many minutes. I'm pretty sure he can only hold it for 12.
Oh. Wow. Anyways. So the detective gets, in the classic noir way, he gets a letter from a man who is murdered.
Of course.
No, it's all very cliche noir in the best way possible.
Mr. Detective, I'm waiting for you.
I'm writing.
In Silent Hill in our special
Oh my
place.
God. All roads lead to Rome, and in Sia's case, to Silent Hill. Silent Hill is Sia's Roman Empire, if anybody was wondering.
I never denied it. That's 100% is.
Anyways, when you get the surprise that you get when you finish your first game, and God knows I was surprised, you're about to be surprised looking at the footage, is that you fall into this limbo and you're confronted by the dead man. He says that you are in limbo, so between the days, once the day is over, you get to propose him what you found out and get his comments on it. It is a little complicated. I'm not completely sure. So I have played only 2 days worth of gameplay in the demo. I don't know if that's the end. I don't know if there's more. But what I like about this loop situation is that there seems to be a lot of things that are happening at the same time that you can find. I've already immediately, as I started my second day, I started getting pretty much like 80% of what I was encountering was something new.
You know what it reminds me of? Like in that sense of gameplay? Vibe, maybe even wise. Outer Wilds?
Doesn't mean
It is
anything to me.
Outer Wilds is like the game in space where it is.
No, I know, but I haven't.
So stuff in the universe
it.
happens on its own, and every time you restart, you can go. It's like it's gonna happen no matter if the player is there or not.
Right.
So you can come there and you can witness it, or you can come to a different place.
That
and
is
witness it.
100% what this is like.
That's what it like. That's what it vibes with me. That's how I feel it.
Yeah, that is 100% what is happening, and more things unlock as you find out more. What I also like is that they allow you to cut corners in conversations. So, of course, for, this little person in the game, this conversation is going to be happening for the first time, but for us and for the detective, this conversation happens already the second or the third time, and there is an option to either repeat that conversation or it literally says cut corners. So it doesn't punish you in that sense. It makes it flow, it makes the pacing go well. Yeah, I am actually pretty excited to play this. I didn't want to play farther than the second day because I don't want this to become too stale too early. I really want to experience more once I have more options.
Definitely. I think there's certainly a wrong path to follow with the time loop, So I actually wonder if they tried to avoid it and they did a really good job with that, or they fell into the same hole of it. Because
it seems to me like they've made a lot of effort to not fall into those usual problems.
It's just usually those problems show up only later when you play for a while. Because there's definitely an issue of, like, at some point you know everything, or at some point you just wait for specific, like, because is it timed? Like, the
Yes, in the top of the screen you have hours displayed. So also some of the dialogue options, so if you choose to interrogate someone, you will get a little notice that the clock will show up and be like, some more time has passed.
I see. Because I do think there might be a problem that somewhere later in the time loop, when you go to like day 5 or day 6, let's imagine that, you know that you need to see something, let's say at 9 p.m., and then you're just gonna have to waste the whole day, you're just gonna walk around.
There is a button.
To skip time?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that is cool.
Yes. I haven't had to use it because I only played for 2 days, but there is a button to skip time.
So it looks like they actually really try to cut, like, cut corners and make sure that, you know, you don't need to do the same, like, you don't need to go through the same conversation, all of that again. So
there was some real effort made in there.
Yeah, that's
so I'm actually pretty excited to see. And you have all of your clues that you found. They don't disappear. They still stay with you.
But one thing also that I'm interested in is, are you gonna get different locations or different cases?
I don't know, not cases. I believe that it's just this case, considering that you are literally kept in limbo by the man who was murdered to investigate his death.
Oh, it's also in Brazil.
It takes place in Rio. I forgot to mention that. My apologies. But you can travel to other locations. You pass by a taxi sign, but for now it was saying that he doesn't have anywhere to go. He didn't have any clues open up to go to other locations. But yes, you can definitely go to other locations in the future. But it is just one case. But it seems to be like a very big and complicated case.
And it's coming out at the end of the year, and I actually, even though I haven't tried the demos, even I'm very interested in trying out and playing the game and actually getting it when it's gonna come out.
Yeah, and it's not a pixel hunter, because it is also the point-and-click adventure. It really seems like a modernized version of the point-and-click.
Yeah, I really enjoy that. That seems to be a very, even though you know me, I don't really like point and click. As you
can see, as you move on the screen, things that you can interact with are highlighted.
That's great.
Which for you, I know is a deal breaker.
It is
in
a deal breaker,
clicks.
definitely.
Same actually with Time and Galaxy. Things are highlighted.
Oh, thank God.
Yes.
Oh my God, you just made me very happy, Chewbacca.
I live to please.
So it is a wish list?
It is 100% a wish list.
Well, I guess that is it for this time. Please let us know if you like this format. We definitely enjoyed playing those demos. It definitely was a very interesting way to share our interest for those demos and our love for the demos, I guess.
Yeah, because we play demos all the time, and after we finish, we want to really share and get people into playing some of these games, but we were also looking for the best format to bring those to you.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a comment. If you know a specific demo that you would love us to try and talk about next time, also let us know. I really love to try more different things and different genres, even specifically, because even though I like doing the narrative stuff, I actually want to try some different stuff next time, specifically like smaller games.
Yeah, and I am a simulation connoisseur, so
I thought you were gonna say, and I'm good for everything.
I mean, I'm good for everything, but if you want to tickle my simulation bone, oh, please do it. Don't take that out of context.
Simulation management, that's mine. I guess like you can see my management bone being tickled with that cardboard board game, whatever. Like that definitely really talked to me.
Yeah, it was a little hard to find something to tickle my simulation bone, considering
It's a narrative. It's a narrative festival. Well, let's see. Maybe there's going to be another festival next month that we're going to be talking about, or it's just going to be random demos that caught our eye. Let us know what you want to see, and hope you all having a fantastic rest of your day.
or night
Or morning.
or life? Question mark?
What time loop?
Oh shit.